Good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live for the nation's
Ladies and
capital.
gentlemen, and welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live for the nation's capital. And welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live for the nation's capital. And welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live for the nation's capital. And welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live for the nation's capital. And welcome to the
I tell you, you can always count on technology and humanity to work sometimes impulsively just against one another. Do I sound that good? Yeah, we do. We're not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the socialist. I'm yours truly at the helm, the exceptional one, holding down the fort, of course. In the chat room is Mary Brockman. She's in the hizzy. I am so glad, Smooches, that you are there. And she is my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed from our program. Claudia is in there tonight. Smooches, Claudia, glad to have you in there as well. And Dave, the unpleasant blind guy, Milner, is also in there. I want to thank Dave so much for all that he does for the Exceptional Conservative Show. Those things that you see and don't see. And really appreciate everything indeed. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, tonight Janis Hall, J Hall War Report will be on at 10:05 p.m. And we have a lot to talk about in terms of Castro and what that signifies in terms of the slow malaise and oncoming death of socialism in the world. Let me repeat to you, in the world. There's stuff that's happening around the world that the media doesn't want you to focus on. They want you to focus on a recount. They want you to focus on, oh, look over there. Someone, Romney is being considered for Secretary of State. Hey, look over there. When the true fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, is that the economies around the world are becoming so stagnant. The disruptions in the world are becoming so relevant that the world is beginning to see the drive for private property, private enterprise, individual rights. And so we're going to talk about that tonight, planting the seeds of freedom, the essence of true capitalism. Now, I am not like any of your other conservative network shows that you listen to. I'm not going to spend my time talking about foolishness. I have a drive and a purpose, and that's to change the world. Now, if you say that I'm ambitious, you're probably accurate. But we need to talk about changing the world. Changing the world is that every man's rights, every woman's rights, every child's rights are adhered to, those given to them by God and those adored by free men. And so we're going to talk all about the essence of true capitalism in this first hour. And I hope that you get ready to rock and roll in terms of that. Uh, What's that? Professor is too busy. Well, Professor is a rock star, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about as we get started. You know how we get started. We take off our hats. Get that. Oh, yeah, that looks good. Okay. We get our hats, and let's see. This is the Pledge of Allegiance, and you'll see it a bit better. I'll hold it back out like this. For those who are watching via live stream and Ustream, the Ustream people see the small flag in the back. The live stream people see the big flag on my left side. They're right. It is our flag. It's a representation and symbolism of all that men have aspired to and died for, and in honor of them and the God that gave them the providence to win the Revolutionary War and maintain a constitutional federated republic for over 200 years. We make this pledge. This is not a pledge to the collective, it is a pledge to the individual. It is to the state that protects us, it is to the people for whom we send our protectors. So, this is why we pledge allegiance to the United States of America. For those who can't figure that out and think that this is a representation of racism, sexism, socialism, we're going to deal with y'all tonight. Okay. And quite frankly, you will be most profusely ailed when you hear how ridiculous you are as you put our nation's sovereignty at risk. Now, you take off your hat. I want you to take your right hand. I want you to put it over your heart. And when we do that, we let our children lead us. Why? Well, everybody asks me that. Let me give you two reasons why I let the children lead us. Number one, we have already fought the battles. Our responsibility is to teach them how to live in peace and to honor those who have sacrificed that we may be able to hold this nation together. Secondly, if you don't train them up in the way that they should go, when they depart from it, they won't know when to return to it. This is a hope and this is an aspiration. So, ladies and gentlemen, let our children lead us in prayer this particular day. Well, at least in pledge. Take it away, kids.
Say the parents. Ready, begin. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how freedom rings. If you didn't know, that's how it's done. So Melanie Collette is in with us tonight. The beautiful, the vivacious Melanie Collette. There we go. Glad to have you here tonight. I'm glad you returned after all that BZ did to you last night. I was ashamed of BZ. How dare he come on this program with that kind of material? We had the most fun last night listening to her name is Melissa Ortiz, and she had some quite different mm, uh, aspirations for women. So if you ever get a chance, listen to last night's show. Absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to give you all a surprise later on. Melanie and Dave, I'm going to give you all a surprise on this particular program. But before I do that, I want to call my best friend because my best friend says I don't call him enough. And that's probably true. And quite frankly, he called me today, and unfortunately, I was a slumber. A lot of people don't understand that I take about 4 hours of sleep a night, but when I do sleep for periods of time, and it's really rocks me in doing so, which probably means that I took about 6 hours a day in slumber. That's a very long time for me, which means that I'm going to probably be up for another 24 straight hours. So just want you all to know that I don't try to slumber because I in terms of keeping up with the world, it requires a great deal of stamina. And so my job is to do so and make it look good. Make it look good. He doesn't know I'm doing this, but I'm getting ready to contact. And hopefully you all can hear.
This is the crisis hotline for suicide prevention. If you're a Redskins fan, press 1. If you have guests that don't show for your show, press 2. If you ignore your best friend's calls, press 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Ladies and gentlemen, see, this is the kind of guy I like to put all my stuff out in the street. Uh, Professor, good evening to you.
Yes, I lost that last thing. I heard you say something about the streets, and then I lost you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I like to put all my stuff out in the street. I like to put my business out in the street. And so I want you all to know that tonight was the last show of the year for the Underground Professor show
Yeah.
on Blog Talk Radio.
It's on the phone, yeah.
Yeah, he's down for the year. And he called me earlier, and I just explained to my audience why I couldn't take your phone call. Is because I was sleeping, and I do apologize for that.
No. I mean, somebody who doesn't work. It's a hard day of sitting there thinking about your next meal.
Yeah,
That'll probably exhausted you.
Contemplating exactly what condiment I'm going to use.
Meanwhile, I'm over here enjoying my white privilege, and I'm eating my Thanksgiving meal for the 5th day in a row.
Wow.
What is it? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, right? So that's
6 days. 6 days in a row.
Yeah, Mary's probably freaking out when I told her.
Wow.
I'm doing it right now too. And I'm starving. I don't care if I die. Then, have a nice Scott funeral with me, an Irish wake.
Do we?
A lot of whiskey.
Do we get to look under the kilt? Oh no, that's Irish. It's not Scottish. I'm sorry.
I'm Scott Irish, but yeah, you can look under the kilt, but all you're gonna think is, wow, this guy won first prize. Now, do you want to know against the Redskins? I'm going to tell you why. I thought it was because we played better football, but then I found a show where you had a preacher on your show, and you played the whip it out part of the commercial. Women being afraid when they went. I thought, now that is why God's mad.
That is why. Oh my Lord! If I only knew. I was just joking.
I'm sure he has a sense of humor. Look at Joe.
And I can't blame my bouncer because I didn't put it past my bouncer, and I can't blame Mrs. Biggs because I didn't put it past her. Yeah, oh man.
As a matter of fact, there's been a lot you've been doing on your show that I don't think Mrs. Biggs has been aware of. like having the whitest guy in America on to discuss angry black women.
Do you know how much trouble I got in last night over that one?
Oh man, I'm trying to bet on that one. I know why you didn't ask me on, but I'm grateful for that, by the way. But when I heard that show today, I just died laughing.
It was in tribute to Melanie. That's who we did last night's show for.
Whatever helps you sleep at night. But I would sleep with one eye open.
I got both eyes now. Which requires me to sleep during the day sometimes. I do apologize.
The professor has no social skills and doesn't understand how to interact with people, and even I knew that wasn't a good
idea. And last night's show, poor BZ, he got set up for that one. But it's on his blog. He should have known better.
There, so he's asking for it. I have no sympathy.
Thank you.
Be on his film show.
And because I'm only 2/3 a person, he should have known I would have been easily influenced, right?
Well, you're 3/5 of a person. and I'm not even sure that's qualifying because, 3/5 of a person, but how big of a person has to be before you give him full credit?
I think my 3/5 is your whole.
I have been lucky to eat once a day this last week. I am down to 216 now.
Wow. Wow.
I keep shedding over a pound a week. Sometimes 2 or 3. It's incredible. It's rejuvenating. I'm feeling better in ways that I never thought I would again. My knees don't hurt as much. I'm able to do more. I'm doing overtime, and it's not killing me. Because used to be, like last year, I do the overtime, and I'd come home, and all I could do was sit in my lazy boy until it was time to sleep, and then I'd either sleep in the lazy boy or get up and go to bed and sleep. And I didn't do anything after I got home, but now I'm doing stuff, doing more. So it's kind of good. I'm kind of glad.
Well,
I'm feeling healthier.
Yeah, you're probably healthier than ever.
Yeah, this has been a long time since I've had disability, and the fact that I have a 26-year-old girlfriend.
Well, that helps.
I'm not sure if she's making me younger or killing me. It's one of the two, and I can't decide which.
I am not going to be set up with any comment from you tonight, Professor. I am not going for it. I got into a lot of trouble. I am not going back to that.
Well, that reminds me. Did you hear the messages I left you? Because I needed you to say good night and I love you to Peaches for me, because I forgot to last night.
I am not telling her that, especially when I'm on the outs. I'm not telling her that. See, I'm not letting another guy be better than me.
Peaches, if you're upset looking for a reason to move to Texas. I'd never do that.
Listen. I must say, she is quite a looker, a beautiful woman, a brilliant woman. How she puts up with me is amazing.
Bad taste in men is what she's got.
Yeah.
She likes both of us. I don't think I trust her.
Oh, she is such a sweet woman. And I need to apologize to Mrs. Biggs while you're on the line tonight for my performance last evening, which was offensive to my black woman. And I apologize. And you are not a monster of any type or anything of that nature. You are a beautiful woman, and you have been by my side every step of the way. Shut up! I'm apologizing. No, that's not what black women do. That's oh my god. Oh my god. Let me, Mary, did that apology pass the smell test? I just want my executive bouncer.
Yeah, it smelled all right. I'm thinking you need flowers and now under some circumstances you might go to infuse, but I think you should pull out all the stops and take her to IHOP and get chicken and waffles at 2 a.m.
Oh man, David said save some of that butter for Christmas dinner, bro. And Mary just said no, it doesn't pass the smell. Oh my god, it was just a joke, people, just a joke. That's all.
God thought it was funny. They didn't just win; they destroyed the Skins.
No, the Redskins destroyed the Redskins. They should have won that game.
The only thing the Skins didn't do was at the end of the game they didn't score more points.
Yep, that's it.
Other than that, they would have won.
Exactly. They had the popular, but not the electoral. That's exactly it.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. You are absolutely right. And that's why we need to get rid of the electoral college altogether so that popular vote wins.
Did you hear there's a Texan who is an electoral delegate? He was part of the slate. He ran for at the convention down here that you guys came down to, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In Dallas. Remember that?
Yep.
Well, he was one of the delegates who ran to be on the electoral college as an electoral college delegate. And he was voted in, and he has since come out and said that he cannot vote for Trump. Never will and will not. Okay, so what did he do? Now, this is a big controversy evidently out there. He resigned as a delegate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what you must do. If you can't fulfill your duty and obligation to vote for the first round for the person who got the electoral vote in your state, like in Texas, it would be Trump. And after that, you're released. After you voted the first time, then if it goes through more voting, then you're released to your conscience.
Yeah.
And this is why it's important at these conventions who we select and elect, because your conscience is at play. Maybe.
Yeah.
If there's a controversy. Well, he resigned, so all we do is we replace that with an alternate delegate that will do what he's supposed to do. Crisis is averted. The constitutions of state and and central government have been adhered to, and all election law. So I don't see why everybody is all in the bounds about this. But what no one is doing anything about are the death threats these delegates are getting.
Yeah.
They're getting death threats from Clinton supporters that if they vote for Trump, they're going to have their property destroyed or damaged, or their lives destroyed, or their jobs are going to be in jeopardy, or whatever, because it's public record who these people are. And it should be public because of what they do. But this is unprecedented. I cannot find anything in history, and I haven't had a lot of time to search it, but I can't find anything in history where electoral delegates were threatened like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm wondering what the FBI and what the FBI is doing about this. The FEC, why aren't they prosecuting? We should be hearing that they have found who these people are, because if they're making these threats and they've been reported, then they should be arrested and thrown in jail, and we should never hear from them again.
Yeah.
And because this isn't just a what do you call it? I forget it. I'm versed in this. Maybe Mike Mama can tell you what kind of assault or battery or whatever. This is treason.
Yeah.
And it is a high crime, and it is hangable. And that's what we should be doing. We should be stringing up a few of these people, hang them, and then see how funny the rest of them think it is.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Professor, you have a world-renowned program, and because of your white privilege, you could take a month off without doing a show.
And I'll be back to those tens of listeners again that I'm always bragging about.
Exactly. You can come back in January.
I had 1 million listeners, and the last time I took 2 weeks off, with all those problems and everything, I was down to 100,000. It's nice to know I have very forgiving.
So you're getting ready to take the month of December off, and tell everyone
the rest of it off.
Yeah, tell the people why you are so noble in doing so.
Well, I figure the rest of the country is tired of hearing me talk.
No, that's not true.
But the reason is I'm a mailman by day and by night lately. 12 hours a day. Short day has been 10, but I put in 12-hour days as a mailman, and then the radio show, of course, and then I have a 5-acre farm and 6 dogs to take care of as a single. I live by myself.
Yeah.
And of course, I got a girlfriend and her girls that I'm trying to help and take care of too now. And I'm spending as much time as I can with them, also, especially during the holidays. But I am a professional Santa Claus. And I'm a very active one. And like this Thursday, I will be doing the tree lighting ceremony in Watauga, Texas, riding in on a hook and ladder fire truck. And then I've got breakfast with Santa. I've got a library event where the Nutcracker Ballet will be committed, and then I'll come in after. And I'll see close to 300 people with that event alone.
Wow.
And so I've got a lot.
Hopefully you've been doing knee exercises because of all the kids that will be on your knee this Christmas season.
Yeah. I'm thinking about getting like a pillow or something, or padding for that. But I'm kind of growing calluses. My problem is I still have this unnatural fear of a kid weeing on my leg again.
Yeah, that would do it.
It only happened once, but now I have this like fear. Especially since my suit's from Scotland, it's not very forgiving in the laundry. It costs me a lot of money to get it clean.
Yeah.
But, and I've got some neat charity coming up too. By the way, I'm doing the leukemia children leukemia fundraiser in a week or two. I'll let you know the details. Maybe you can broadcast. I should have done that on my show. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saving the best for my program.
Well, sure. Yeah. And I see. I to call me back when you can play commercials.
Yeah, in fact, thank you for bringing that up because we have reached a point in our program where we must play commercials. You've been listening.
I know this because it's been more than 2 minutes.
Don't, I am not Rush Limbaugh.
At least you're not so bad that you play commercials and then come back from it to tell everybody that you're going to play some more commercials.
And
that sends me.
We're,
That's why I don't listen to those guys anymore, you know?
Yeah, we're talking tonight with the professor, Dr. Michael Jones, and you're listening to us on Red Nation Rising at 2 a.m. on the Liberty Channel. Thank you so much for doing that. You are also listening.
Hey, I have a question for you real quick.
Sure.
Yeah.
As you delayed my commercial break.
The people of Red Nation Rising are listening to us, is that correct?
That's correct.
And they are a smart listening audience, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, now I have to question you then. Why did they leave?
Why did they leave what?
Leave our show. Why did they leave after the first hour? They're so smart. Why did they all leave?
I have no idea. See, it takes the listening audience to demand it. It really does. I think this program is like none other that you could possibly hear on a conservative talk station. But it takes an army of individuals saying, you know what, I want to hear the other hour because I'm being cheated. I'm being cheated.
Or they can leave Red Nation Rising and come listen to you on the Exceptional Conservative Show.
That's right. They can come to the exceptionalconservativeshow.com and listen directly, or they can go to the other two great live carriers of our program, SHR Media, SHR Media with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint, and BZ, the Bloviating Zeppelin, Sir Mark, and of course.
Is he a sackhead or just a plastic bagger? I mean, is there a
no, they're environmentally sensitive.
Does Bloviating have a title?
He is Sir Mark the Bloviating Zeppelin, and they are environmentally sensitive. They use paper, not plastic.
You call him Sir Mark, and yet I've actually been knighted, and you never call me that. I never use Reverend in my title. I always point out that you're bringing the religious connotation. I'm just saying, things I noted now that I have all this extra time on my hands.
See, I'm glad you denoted this, and you have so much extra time now that you are not coming back on New Day Black and Red. Never mind. We'll get to that after we come back from the commercial. Ladies and gentlemen, also, Dan the Man Butcher's live coverage of our program on High Plains Pundit Media. This man is like no other. He is a tremendous broadcaster, and we love him and thank him so much for it. And, of course,
not only that, but I suspect he's actually transgender because I hear him referred to as Jane a lot.
Well, and Jane does all the work, but he gets all the credit. So that's the important thing. Yeah, it's two different people, but I'm not supposed to tell you that he's right now ringing a bell and sipping his tea and demanding Jane to make certain that the broadcasting hookups are right. You know, I'm not.
Have you seen him ring the bell?
I've seen him ring the.
Over there in Amarillo, he actually puts his pinky out when he rings the bell.
Yeah, it's a big bell too. It's a big bell.
It's not like that bell you cracked over there in Philadelphia when you were messing with it.
Hey, I got under the lines, and it was my fault, but you know what? They don't know that. We'll be right back with more of the best in Urban Conservative Talk, the most influential urban conservative talk show in the world, outside of the professors, who won't be on the air for 4 weeks.
No, I'm not going to tell you.
Late night conservative talk show in America, TECS Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on some immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late night conservative talk, TECS Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America. And in the West.
was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies. Anytime, any place. It's how we've done business since 1939. Brownell's.
From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red. From the war front to the streets of our nation.
Make sure she says yes with this beautiful engagement ring. Expertly crafted in 14-karat white gold with an alluring design. Featuring breathtaking diamonds. Get a unique piece designed just for you with our huge selection of stunning gems and precious metals. Order now and receive free insured shipping. Find your perfect jewel today at alores.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital, home of the most powerful bouncer in the free world, Mary Brockman. She also happens to be unemployed tonight. She's unemployed because a certain guy is going to be off for 4 weeks, enjoying his festivities as Santa Claus. And she didn't qualify for the elf job. Am I correct, sir?
You know, that's funny you say that because every year I ask for people to do it and no one ever does it for me. And this year I've had 5 people come up and ask.
Well, are they Megan and the children?
Well, Megan said she would do it for sure, but I've had other people come up and ask if they could do it with me. And it's like, wow, why is it always when it rains, it pours? But no year in the last 10 years have I had anybody volunteer, and then this year I've had 5.
Wow.
And but that's typical women because
I am not going there.
As soon as they see that another woman's with you, you're validated. And they're like, oh my goodness, you must have something. You must be rich or can whip it out or something because he's got a 26-year-old girlfriend, and so all of a sudden they all want to start doing stuff. It's weird.
I am not getting in trouble tonight.
No, you didn't.
I am not getting. I must say again, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize.
You're gonna trip. I'm gonna get you.
Oh, as I learned last night, not all black women do that. And it's offensive, and I apologize.
The reason you got in trouble is not what you said. It's because you actually did learn last night all black women aren't like that. I mean, honestly.
Mary says you're a hunk. So there you go. Absolutely.
The black community, the way, it's been done. There's these battle lines that are drawn about, how it's more noble to be a single mom in the black community than it is to have a man in your life.
Yeah.
And that's not a thing that was done because it was a positive good. It was done because it was a defensive measure against the fact that all the men, because of welfare and other government programs, quit being the men in the house. they were replaced.
Yeah.
Because they would lose welfare benefits if they had a man. You know, until Kennedy and those guys changed the welfare thing, it was required that you were married to get welfare.
Mm-hmm.
And the thinking was is you should have a family and you should have a core network of people and you should all be trying to get work and do things. And with the way they decided that they would instead subsidize this bad behavior and get more of it, and then they would have people addicted to welfare, which then would get them to vote promise more of it.
Exactly.
And that killed single-handedly the black family.
Exactly.
That and the highest incarceration of crime, you know, the way they do things like cocaine gets you a soft punishment, but crack gets you a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that further divided it.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is a defensive mechanism by black women. And it's understandable on a human nature scale, but it's still devastating to the community.
Yeah. You know, tonight we're talking about planting the seeds of freedom and the essence of capitalism. And I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm going to miss you over the next 4 weeks of New Day Black and Red, which means that I unilaterally have to do the entire spiritual as well as constitutional viewpoint.
I don't know how you're going to do it. Maybe you should have someone on like Janis Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah. She'd be a good fill-in.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't she supposed to be on tonight?
Yes, she is. She's supposed to be on at 10:05 this evening. Janice Hall and J. Hall
I'm
will
taking
report.
her time. I'm good. I didn't want to.
No.
The reason I asked is I don't want to be bogarting anybody else's.
You don't.
BZ has no problem going on other people's shows and bogarting, but I have standards.
You have standards. You have standards. See, BZ doesn't mind going on other programs and getting the host in trouble. Anyway, I'm blaming BZ.
It's like having grandchildren. You know, you can spoil them rotten, fill them up with sugar, and you give them back to the parents at the end of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to read to you. I had Samuel Blumenfeld and Alex Newman on my programs. Samuel Blumenfeld passed away on the eve of which he was supposed to return back to our program. And he wrote this great book before he passed away. It's called Crimes of the Educators. Okay, for those who are following along at home on live stream and Ustream, you can see the book. I'm going to recommend this Christmas that you buy it for a teacher and make them read it. But
I haven't read that, but I've heard a lot of good things about it.
It's a tremendous book. It really is. And this is the third time I've gone through it. But I
understand it the first time.
Well, the words were kind of big, so I had to ask Mary.
It's not Bubonics, is it?
No, I had to ask Mary to. I underlined them all or whatever, and there was a lot of them, and she took the time to define.
I understand why you're falling asleep all the time now.
He writes, cooperative learning as described by the student is indeed a good example of communist ideology in the classroom. The student is not judged by his individual effort, but as a member of a group. It was progressive social theories such as Gordon Allport, George Herbert Mead, Clifford Shaw, and John B. Watson who first began advancing the idea that working in a group was educationally more effective for students than working individually. But in actuality, group learning has never improved the work of the low achiever. And I'm going to put this here in front of my picture. I don't normally do that, but for those who are watching via live stream, there you go. But it's a book that you should get. In fact, wait a minute, maybe I should put it up on the fireplace. That way everybody can see it. There you go. Put it right up there on the fireplace. There you go. Crimes of the Educators. You should get that book.
You're putting the book in the fireplace?
No, I'm not a censor.
Nazi?
I'm a racist. I'm a racist. I'm a.
Constantly ask me to grade on the curve, and I tell them no.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a communist thing. We're not a collective, organization. That we're a room full of individuals. Rugged individualism is what prevails in my classroom, not collectivism.
Exactly.
And that's what grading on the curve does.
Exactly.
It collectivize everybody, and it rewards towards the weak at the expense of the
Strong.
strong. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well said,
But
sir.
this is a theme that I've been thinking about a lot lately because I've been thinking about the biblical term, the meek shall inherit the earth, and what it really means.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is it.
Yeah.
You know, that this collectivism, this welfare, they're the ones that are outbreeding us, and they're not outthinking us, but they're out consuming us.
Yeah.
And like locusts out consume.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where, I think this is all biblically designed.
Yeah.
That this would be the fulfillment of it. Yeah. I could be wrong.
No. Simply.
It's happened once.
Simply put, our children have been taught over the past, and we can go back to, I thought of his name and then it escaped me just that quickly. The first superintendent of public schools in Boston, who would later go on to become the virtual popular Secretary of Education at his time period. Well, not that there was an education department, but he was looked upon as the principal educator of his time. And his whole idea of introducing secularism into the classroom, taking God out of the classroom so that everyone would be lifted up on an equality basis, and how that ushered in the 1800s, the opportunity for individuals to collapse upon our educational system and to destroy capitalism. The whole idea about capitalism was that it was first an acknowledgement of who gave us the individual right, and then secondly, performing at the level as which to preserve it. And those two things were taken away, not just by the Northwest Ordinance, after the workings of the Northwest Ordinance, in terms of the government being involved in public education. But
badly
yeah,
interpreted, because the Northwest Ordinance, the founding fathers had been involved in our education ever since the beginning.
Yeah.
The Northwest Ordinance was beautiful in the fact that every community that was created had to put a church and a school.
Mm-hmm.
In planned, development. Every community. And before you build anything else, you had to build a church and a school, and then you could build other government buildings and whatnot. And so, that tells you what the founders thought was important. Mm-hmm. But like all communists, if you go and look at every communist regime, from Fidel to Stalin, what do? They get rid of churches. They get rid of God. They always leave a few, but they, so they can have an enemy to attack. But they do go after God because they can't afford the state to have anything superior to it. They have to be the giver of rights and the giver of privileges, not God. And so they replace them, and that's what was happening in the schools, is they were replacing God with collectivism, so that the professors would be the gods, and look at what we got from it.
Exactly. And so in planting the seeds, the classroom as well as the church were prescribers of individual rights, and they were protectors of individual rights, and they were.
Let me jump in on that real quick.
Go right ahead.
To point this out. I'm sorry that I got to say this.
Go ahead.
If you go and you look at every issue in the Declaration of Independence, if you look at every right that is listed in the Constitution, where do you find those first? These aren't original ideas. Every single concept, from the DI to the Constitution,
mm-hmm.
you will find from a sermon in the pulpits of the churches of the colonies.
Mm-hmm.
Every single concept was taught first in a pulpit. And that's not just those. Taxation without representation. These ideas came out of the pulpits. And this is why they have to separate the pulpit and God from school and from government. Now, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to say that because that is so important of an idea for people to understand. Because, we're not crazy when we're saying these things. This is actually where it comes from, and this is why they had to get rid of it. We make these same statements, and it sounds like we're conspiratorials, but
no. And so
you see this in a context. Yeah.
And so constitutionally, the founding fathers early on saw that the need of this nation was first individual rights, period. The second thing is that you have to have a standard by which individual institutions are guarded. There is our Declaration of Independence, there is our Constitution. And then you must protect the institutions that are responsible for presenting the facts of capitalism, constitutionalism, conservatism, or classical liberalism to the people, that they might continue that particular practice. So the standard bearers would be the schools and they would be the churches. The churches were doing it before there were schools, public schools. And so, quite frankly, because we have moved away from the process and the protection of individual rights towards this groupthink mentality, we have harried the idealisms that come with a free market economy, one in which we're not looking for government to insure us, but government to assure us, meaning that they are to stand out of the way and protect us from hurt, harm, and danger, but not intercede in terms of the commerce. And it was the Commerce Clause. Yeah, it was the Commerce Clause by which many of the early communists, as I would say, no problem. Many of the early communists took advantage of the American system. Am I right on that?
You know, the Commerce Clause was designed to ensure commerce occurred.
Yeah.
But since, I don't remember when it started changing, but the Republicans are really the reason that it's all screwed up, because they started using the Commerce Clause to punish Democrats for not treating blacks as human beings.
Yeah.
And so they started using it to get in there and to get rid of these companies and restaurants or whatever that were discriminated against blacks. I wouldn't let them sit there and eat, at the counter and at the Woolworths and stuff. And that abuse opened up Pandora's box, so that now the Democrats use it to shut down everything. They don't approve of it.
Mm-hmm. And so many people today are asking, how is it that millennials don't know who Locke is, and don't know who von Mises is, and don't know Milton Friedman? They're not supposed to know these guys. They're supposed to know Che Guevara. They're supposed to know Fidel Castro. They're supposed to know Lenin. They're supposed to know Stalin. They're supposed to know them because they are the guardians of collective thought. They are the guardians of communism, socialism. Those particular or softwares that you put on hardware of individual rights and take them away, thus creating an environment where people are dependent on the state for their deliverance.
An example of this, because people listening may not believe what you just said, Kaepernick is a perfect example. He doesn't understand about freedom or liberty or capitalism, but he understands who Fidel is. He wears socks that make fun of cops being pigs, and he wears Fidel Castro shirts, and he pontificates on how great Fidel Castro is, not, understanding the murder and the killing and the theft of property, and just unbelievable to me. Can people like this exist? But he's a product of his school.
Yeah.
You can't really blame Kaepernick for what he believes, because he was sent to a school who taught him how to believe this way.
Yes.
And he, is a successful student. He learned what his professors taught, and we're shocked by that. So you better not.
Exactly. So when you have a woman like Melanie Collette, who's a professor.
There we go. I knew you were going to go to the women thing again.
Yeah, I am.
I told you you'd do it.
I am. When you have a woman like,
no, you did?
yes, I did. When you have when you have a woman who is a professor in college like Melanie Collette, who is a huge proponent of individual rights, her expectation is that the children who have studied in the public school setting would have learned that individual rights are defined by merit, not by curves. So, quite frankly, those individuals are expected to perform at a certain level in individual thinking, which is a requirement of collegial institutions. But they don't. They fall short.
Well, they can't.
Exactly. It's designed for their failure.
When I get students, they can't even read. Most of the college students and I taught at community college, okay? Granted, it was community college. It wasn't Princeton. But it doesn't matter. The first 2 years of almost every academic institution in this country, whether it's Ivy League or not, the first 2 years, we spend teaching our students what they need to know in order to survive college and to be successful. Meaning, this is what high school was supposed to do, right? If they weren't in a vocational program, then the high school was supposed to be grooming them for college. And they can't read, they don't know history, they don't know the math, they don't know the sciences, but they know condoms, they know environmentalism, they know how to name a hurricane after a woman, they know all kinds of important stuff, but they don't know the fundamentals, the reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah.
And this was done on purpose because if they're stupid about those things, and especially history, then our government and the people in charge of us can do whatever they want to.
Yes.
And they can be in charge of us, and this is a critical thing. By dumbing down students through the public school system, we enable our elected leaders to not be leaders anymore, but to be rulers.
Yes.
And we won't know the difference.
And so when you have institutions, private institutions, that wish to become monopolies and stall out innovations, who are they going to turn to? Are they going to turn to the individual? No, because the individual demands the marketplace change and improve for the better of all people. No, they will turn to those that can legislate and regulate the institution of free markets to death. So be it.
This is why, like, when you get the public schools today, at like, say, the high school level, and instead of being in competition with the charter schools and stuff, now we're regulating the charter schools to the part where they're required to be stupefying our students just as much as the public schools are.
Exactly.
Because they couldn't take the competition or the challenge. So you're exactly right on that. Besides, if I was going to call somebody, it'd be the Ghostbusters.
Which is why, and we're going to miss you over the next 4 weeks, Professor. And
I'm sure.
I am. I'm going to really, really miss my best friend on the air on Thursday nights at 9:05, New Day Black and Red. So now I have to find someone to sit in your place during that time period. I'm going to really, really miss you.
I can't do it this Thursday, but if I can, I'll let you know if I can be on the other ones.
Okay. Thank you.
That might be my outlet, because I'm already wondering if I'm going to go crazy not having a microphone in front of me.
Exactly. I'm groveling here, and he can feel it. Thank you so much.
I can always tell Ag is already writing his rebuttal to me about how I'm supposed to be taking time off.
There you go. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great pleasure, honor having the Professor Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor.us. He will be taking a break for 4 weeks, but he will not be forgotten. If God's willing and we come back in the new year, and he will be forth with great strength and resolve, and again, being a classical liberalist on America's airwaves and around the world. So we love you, and we want you to have the very best of holiday seasons, and I look forward to you not ditching New Day Black and Red. So there. Hooah!
For me, doing Santa work, so you can put that on the website for a while.
I will.
Yeah.
Santa work will be promoted. You are approved.
Thank you, sir. I also have a naughty Santa's helper outfit for Megan. Maybe I can get a picture of that too.
Yeah! Do it for the oh my God. Oh my God. No.
Do that for the children.
No. I'm not going to make any comment.
You got in there. You did it.
Thank you, Professor. God bless you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Ah, I despise that man. Gets me into so much trouble. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much. When we come back in the fourth quarter, we're going to continue our conversation about planting the seeds of freedom, the essence of capitalism, and the essence of true capitalism. The essence of capitalism. I don't know how I wrote that. It should be the essence of true capitalism, but nonetheless, that's what I'll be talking about. We're going to take a great quick break. But before we do that, I just want to tell the good people, Melanie and Dave especially, today, guest 901 in Lonnie Poindexter's chat role was none other than an exceptional one himself. I'll be right back with more of the best in urban conservative talk.
So what do you think about ebooks? Maybe you've never read an ebook before, but you're considering giving it a try. Or maybe you've been reluctant to try ebooks because you don't want to buy another expensive electronic device. Or maybe you already enjoy ebooks, but you haven't been able to find titles from your favorite Christian authors. Whatever your situation, ChristianBook.com has the solution. Your trusted source for print books for over 30 years now offers ebooks. Our always free CBD reader allows you to read on the devices you already own without spending money on a new device. Thousands of Christian ebooks at ChristianBook.com means you can shop with confidence and choose from the titles you want. Plus, we are adding new titles all the time. Browse our huge selection of low-priced Christian ebooks the same way you would printed books, only now you can go from shopping to reading in seconds. Simply select the ebook you wish to purchase, confirm your account information, and start reading. Free samples of every ebook are available, so you can preview the book first, before you buy it. Plus, there's no lengthy app downloads and updates. Accessing the CBD Reader is as easy as going to cbdreader.christianbook.com and bookmarking the page. The CBD Reader holds your ebooks and bookmarks for you, no matter what device you're on. So, you can take your entire ebook library wherever you go and pick up right where you left off. Our customizable options make it possible to read your ebooks in different font sizes and styles. Want a large print version? You've got it in seconds with a simple click of the mouse. Already own a dedicated e-reader? Download your ebooks to your computer from your ChristianBook.com account and transfer them to your device. Try ebooks at ChristianBook.com and start reading your favorite books in seconds. Easy, economical, everywhere you want to read. Welcome to ChristianBook.com ebooks.
From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital. Men of faith. Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues. To the most influential Christian urban talk show, it's a new day on New Day, Black and Red.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from the Reaver Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com. It's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shrmedia.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most enjoyable things I do on the Exceptional Conservative Show, and I welcome you all back, because we're not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the socialist. I'm yours truly, the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. Had a wonderful conversation with the professor, Dr. Michael Jones, who is trying to ease his way out of New Day Black and Red so he can relax for 4 weeks. We're not going to let him do it. So, contract, man. Contract. No, just kidding. I'm not like that. Wink. But one of the best times that I have on this particular program is on Tuesday nights at 10:05 p.m. because that's when I talk with none other than the beautiful and vivacious. Oh, my. That's not supposed to happen. Okay. um, here we go. I need to work on that one. Okay. Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report. She's been with me for over 3 years, and she brings the issues. I like that. Pumping that sound right there. Yeah. She brings the world's issues down to the kitchen table so that we well understand it. Uh, and okay, that didn't work. Okay, so we're going to try something else here. We love Janice. And sometimes technology doesn't work, so you have to use the next best thing, pen and paper. Also, I want to let everyone know that I will be sending out Christmas cards. So I hope that you get yours. Hope that you enjoy. Let's see, Janice, how do we do this here? Okay, we're going to try this one more time. You would think that I had this all down since we've been doing it for over 3 years, right? But sometimes stuff doesn't work out. All right, so here we go. Make that phone call. 1 ringy dingy, 2 ringy dingies, 3 ringy dingies.
Hello.
Hello, good evening, Janice. It's a great privilege and pleasure to have you on the program. Say that 5 times fast.
Well, it is a great pleasure to be here Tuesday night, as always.
Oh, awesome. Listen, something amazing happened over the weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. And,
Yeah.
you know, as I'm burping up whatever remained of the turkey, I'm getting this news that a certain guy passed away.
Yes. Castro is dead.
Yes! I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's almost like, yeah, it's almost like we forgot about Thanksgiving and was like, oh, Castro's dead. Wait, why was this weekend important? Castro's dead.
Such great celebration in Miami over the death of one man. And I want you to do us a favor because there's some download listeners in Washington, D.C. that tune into this show. And they have this idea that Fidel Castro was a revolutionary who sacrificed his very life so that the good people of Cuba would have education and health care and Obamacare and Hillary care and that they are the epitome of how a government run, state institution run society works best. Can you fill them in on the blanks there?
Well, they would generally be incorrect. Despite what a lot of people think, Cuba has a lot of problems. And essentially, Castro was a dictator. And, you know, yes, died on, I think it was Friday? Yes, Friday.
Mhm.
Friday evening. And, okay, so obviously he hasn't been involved in the government in quite some time. So his brother's been ruling. But, yeah, the situation is not good.
Mm-hmm.
It was never good in Cuba. And, you know, despite some of the reports coming out, I mean, I suppose the best thing that you can probably say about it is that they've managed to survive.
Yes.
This long.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's been relatively stable, and it's kind of worked.
Yeah, and people don't understand that.
Not well.
Yeah, people don't
Not
understand
well.
that Obama actually saved Cuba from falling.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible.
With the open now relationship and money's being able to be pumped in there, it saved Cuba in the sense that now it refurbished the treasury of Cuba, or at least the treasuries of Fidel Castro.
Yes, and I'm sure that there are so many people right now saying, why couldn't Obama have just waited
Yes!
a few more months? I mean, generally speaking, yes. I think the U.S. was ready to engage Cuba. I've said that before when we started, this conversation way back in the day.
Yep.
But I think everybody was really hoping that that would have happened after Fidel had died, and it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he died just a few months later, it seems like we should have just waited.
Yeah.
Seems like the wrong move. That said, I mean, really, most people probably thought he was going to live forever anyway, so.
Because his soul was taken, he was going to live forever.
You just seem to keep going.
We're talking tonight with Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report, and we are celebrating the death. And I don't know if that's going to be taken harshly the wrong way, and I'll be criticized for it. I'm willing to be criticized for this. I'm celebrating the death of Fidel Castro. He was a murderous dictator. He starved the Cubans, the real Cubans. He virtually created a nuclear episode in American history. He murdered his enemies or those who prefer free thought. He was a puppet of the communists, whether it be a Chinese or a Russian. The bottom line was he brought death and destruction on an episode level in this Western Hemisphere that hasn't been seen probably outside of maybe Venezuela. He was a nut, in my opinion, but the nutty people liked him or obeyed him. I don't know. What was it? Did they like him or did they obey him?
I think it was both. Mm-hmm. I think he did have some popular support. I don't think he really would have gotten where he was if that wasn't the case. That said, I think he was able to control a lot of the population as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which is generally the story with most dictators.
Yeah. But people don't have this understanding that he controlled. He controlled, literally, the people. There was no free choice. Those people who got on those ships or whatever vessels they could fathom together, they didn't come here because they were willing passport carriers. They were escaping someplace. How is it that Obama and the Canadian Prime Minister now calls this individual a champion of the people?
Yeah, that's a bit too far. I understand perhaps if someone isn't celebrating, that's definitely on one end of the spectrum. But to say that he was, good and, did good things and was a man of the people is definitely out of proportion, especially for a U.S. or Canadian politician to say.
Mm-hmm. Now, Jill Stein, Dr. Jill Stein, who is in the process of trying to do recounts in states that have already determined that the elector or the elected president is Donald J. Trump, made a comment regarding Fidel, and her comment was this. She said, Fidel Castro was a symbol of the struggle for justice in the shadow of empire. Presente. Crazy or just ignorant? Which one is Dr. Jill Stein?
Probably a little bit of both. I do think that there's been a lot of, time kind of smooths things out, and, situation, like, while there has not been, a huge nuclear crisis recently, or, huge animosity between the U.S. and Cuba, there was certainly a lot that did take place in the past. And I think to say that, it was generally good is incorrect.
Yeah.
Because no, it was not generally good. It might not, our relationship might not have been as bad as it was way back in the day, but it was certainly not good.
Exactly. The people were more profitable, even under Batista. I mean, Batista was a dictator himself, but the people were more profitable. There was more freedom. There was more liberty. Castro came in and took all of that away. And one of the first things that he did was he took away the people's right to defend themselves. He took away their guns. Isn't that a struggle that's happening here in America with individuals like Hillary Rodham Clinton, Barack Obama, individuals who want to take away an individual's right to protect themselves?
Well, it certainly feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly feels that way. Yes, I could go on a long tirade about the Second Amendment. I personally don't think that there should be restrictions on gun ownership. And I realize that is not necessarily, the most popular opinion. And I realize that accidents and consequences can happen. But I don't think that, anything. I don't believe that guns are any more dangerous than, when somebody wants to plant a bomb or use a knife or use their car to kill people. So I think the argument that guns are just specifically more dangerous, I don't buy it.
So,
as well as, even if that were the case, we still have a right to have our guns.
Exactly. And that individual right is something, and this is what a lot of people in America don't understand, because they're thinking, a lot of people are thinking maybe over the weekend, all these people were going to get together and take back over the country. But they don't have the financial resource to do it. You have doctors that stop being doctors so they can drive taxi cabs to actually make money. So they don't have the financial resources. While they might be literate on reading the Communist Manifesto, that's limiting everything else in terms of study. And they don't have guns. So the bottom line is, what can they possibly take over? They can't do anything right now, right?
Not much. No, not much.
So when do they become free?
Well, they don't.
So what do we do?
Maybe eventually.
Yes.
Maybe eventually. Okay. And having feet up for LI is a step in the right direction. My mom did have a great line over the weekend. She said, yes, the CIA plot to kill Castro finally worked. They used old age.
So under Fidel Castro, because Fidel Castro was in power from the late 1950s, like 59, 60. So he went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decades of empowerment there. He took away their freedoms of liberties. So there have been 2 generations of children who've grown up under dictatorial communism. Do you think there's any hope of the U.S. convincing them or changing their minds regarding communism?
to think that there's always hope. I think that, okay, I do think that, finally having Fidel die is probably helpful. I think that we are now engaging Cuba is also probably helpful. But I think that it's probably going to be quite a long road to get there, if they're able to get there at all.
Exactly. So I want to ask you in this regard. The U.S. is not sending Joe Biden or Kerry, and Obama isn't going himself to this particular funeral. Wouldn't it be wise for Obama to send Hillary to the funeral?
Maybe? No.
Do you think Obama should go?
Do I think Obama's what?
Do you think Obama should go to the funeral?
No. Nor do I think should any other American politician or leader.
Why? He did so much for the world.
Right.
Is there a moral problem with sending someone from the United States government to the funeral of the dictator Fidel Castro?
I believe that there is. I think that when you go to a funeral, you go to somebody you respect, who was a friend, who generally you like, and hasn't been a thorn in your side for several decades. And I don't think that Castro fits the bill of any of those things.
Exactly.
And just, I think that there are probably very few world leaders, I would say, that the U.S., should have, a delegation to, if they died. And Fidel Castro is certainly not among them.
Now, one of the things I wanted to also talk with you about in terms of Fidel Castro, and then we will leave him to death's door in hell, is the concept of Raul stepping down in 2018. Do you think that Donald J. Trump in 2017 will work out a deal in which Cuba becomes a whole lot closer to the U.S. than it has ever been, based on capitalistic pursuits, free market pursuits, tourism, things of that particular nature? And how will that affect the rest of the Caribbean if it's done in that fashion?
I definitely think it's possible. I think if anybody can do it, Trump probably can. I think if that were the case, it would, probably help the rest of the Caribbean. I'm not entirely sure to what extent. It might not be as much as, people would like. But I do think that it could be, very beneficial. So we'll have to see.
Exactly. I mean, Cuba being the largest island, also one of the more formidable entities against capitalism and just individual freedoms in the Caribbean. There are many people in the Caribbean who would love to see America invest heavily in terms of turning Caribbean around. But I was just thinking in just this one moment, what about Puerto Rico then? Is that essential anymore? Is Puerto Rico essential to us anymore if we got Cuba? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if essential is quite the right word. We are tied to Puerto Rico, for good or ill, and as they are to us. and I don't think that situation is going to change.
Well said. Well said. You should definitely be an ambassador. I should be sending out my letter telling everyone I apologize for what I said about Puerto Rico, although I didn't say anything. The bottom line is things are changing in the Caribbean. It's going to be a wonderful thing to take a look at. Apparently, the French have decided to take on their liberty pursuits over the weekend. Can you tell us about what happened in France this weekend?
Yes. So over the weekend on Sunday, the Socialist Party in France. Okay, so they're not the most conservative party. All right, let's just start out with that. They had basically their runoff to their primary election. So basically, they picked the top two contenders, and then they held another election a few days later between the two. And while most of the shock came the week before with a rather conservative politician who actually won, he again did very well, getting around 2/3 of the vote, and he's pretty conservative.
Yeah.
He is generally socially conservative,
Mm-hmm.
believes in smaller government, and to the horror of, I'm sure, many French, may attempt to get rid of the 35-hour work week.
Now, the first thing I want to hang on those two things with you before I let you go. But the first of those two things is his social conservatism, which is pretty much an anathema for Europe. He's along the lines of the Jerry Falwell crowd. How is this going to work?
Well, that is a good question. And that was a lot of, the shock that happened last week with the elections and the fact that he did so well was basically that probably now whoever, wins the presidency will be very conservative in France. And now it's just kind of a matter of how conservative. Is it going to be, very, very conservative with Marine Le Pen, or is it going to be just somewhat conservative, but probably still a lot more than they have been in the past?
Exactly. This is like a shock treatment. This is like electroshock to Europe all of a sudden.
Yes.
You have a moderately conservative individual now. Then you have Le Pen, who's running,
Right.
who's looking to annihilate Islam. So I mean, wow, what a election! What a number of years have changed thanks to Angela Merkel. But the final thing is that 35-hour work week, which is, I think, worse than Greece. I don't think they even have to work until age 50 any longer. But these social welfare programs are the things that antagonize most their GDP and their investment in terms of protecting themselves from Russia. And this guy's bold enough to say it needs to go.
Yeah.
Is this going to go easily into the night?
I'm sure it will not go easily into the night. And when I say attempting to get rid of it, I mean attempting. I'm not entirely sure even if he were to be elected that it would actually be able to be done. The French are very attached to their generally short careers and long vacations and few working hours during the week. So I don't even know if it's possible, even if you were to be elected. I definitely do think that France, like the rest of Europe, is hurting financially. And, as we can see, socialism is not the best system to run an economy.
Yeah.
And So yes, something does need to be done.
Exactly.
And I think it'll be interesting to see just how much he can get done. I think you and I probably hope he can do a lot, but I am hesitant to say that a lot will happen, at least on the economic front. I think socially, and perhaps with the illegal immigration that they've had from the Middle East and North Africa, that might be a different story. They might have they might be able to make, more serious inroads in dealing with that situation.
Exactly. Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report. We love you, and we thank you so much for coming on our program every Tuesday night at 10:05 p.m. to bring the world's issues down to the kitchen table so that we can understand them better. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow. Didn't think I would live long enough to see Fidel die. So for all of you who didn't realize that there's no such thing as eternal life here on earth, John 3:16. We'll be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk right after these messages. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm encouraging you. I'm not one who begs a boon, but on this I will. The talk show itself is freely delivered and not requiring anything of you but to listen and also promote if you get an opportunity. Wink, wink. But this I will ask of you. If you are shopping this season, take a look at the front page of the exceptionalconservativeshow.com. Scroll down and support our sponsors. When you support them, I'm able to do even more in terms of spreading the good news of conservatism. So please, take a moment, bookmark the exceptionalconservativeshow.com, come back to the front page, and shop.
Even when I'm busy in the kitchen, it's important to me that the special people in my life know how much I care. I choose edible blooms because it's the perfect choice. Traditional flowers and chocolate all wrapped up in one. Edible blooms are made fresh daily using the very best seasonal produce and Belgian chocolate, all crafted by hand and delivered Australia-wide. Edible Blooms has the perfect gift for any occasion. EdibleBlooms.com.
Yesterday, you went on the air. We're talking about your fake Prada sunglasses. Yes. Scary called me in a panic last night. I went on the air, and I called them fake. They're not fake. They're real. We're going to get sued.
Really? They're real?
Right. Yeah, and he gave, what's the name of the company you ordered them from?
I bought it from a company called EZ. That's the letter E, the letter Z, Contacts USA.
So he goes on the air yesterday and says, EZ Contacts, they're a scam. Ignore them.
Well, no research, nothing.
Yeah, didn't look into. I'm like, you're being a little reckless.
Yeah.
Even though they, I don't know if those are real Prada glasses or not. But he went on the air and said that anyway.
The opposite of 60 Minutes, Scary Jones.
Yeah. We don't know. We didn't investigate. I'm sure they're a scam.
Well, I got them for $150 lower than you could normally find them.
Are they a scam?
They're not. I looked into it. I researched it in full. I am holding legit, real Prada sunglasses.
Wow.
So
Really?
I'd like to issue an apology. I just want to say,
of course, we got a call from the company.
From the owner, yeah.
They had lost orders yesterday because of what Scary said. They should make you pay what they lost yesterday. How much was that total?
I don't even know. But at the end of the day, it's like it's almost one of those too good to be true things. Yeah, it is true.
So you did your research on this?
I did my research. I did my homework. At the end of the day,
Exactly.
EZ Contacts USA, they actually sell real, legitimate stuff. You have to
At great prices.
At great prices.
Can you imagine last night, I'm getting ready to eat dinner, I get a phone call from Scary. He's like, hey, you got 2 minutes?
Yeah,
I'm
I got
like,
the same call.
I'm like, okay.
Was it 2 minutes?
25 minutes later, I'm like, all right, Scary, that sounds great, man.
They're
Hey,
legit.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'll let you go. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
No,
That's unbelievable.
Everything worked out.
All right, thank you, Scary. So Scary...
It could have been last season's. You know, sometimes they do that. Last
absolutely.
Seasons, whatever.
Scary accused them of the company of being a fraud, and they're not. And that was very reckless of Scary.
It really was.
Yes, Froggy.
Scary's going to turn this around at some point before it's over. He'll go, I was doing them a favor. See, at first I said it wasn't real. Now it is real. More people are going to buy from them.
I did the homework, boss. They're real.
At the end of the day, if you want to
Thank you, Scary.
Yeah, here we go.
Scary, if you give the name of the company one more time, I swear to God, you're fired.
You're going to kick me in the...
I'm going to kick you in the balls. But, you know, I'm glad the owner did hear you. They do listen.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they heard you and they corrected you, because that's very reckless to go in there and say someone's a fraud.
But I'm excited to find out that you can get really cheap sunglasses.
Yeah, no, me too.
Nice.
What's that website again?
I don't want you to kick me in the
Okay,
balls.
Scary, one more time.
It's the letter...
I mean, if you do it anymore, we're going to have to send them a bill.
The letter E, the letter Z, contactsusa.com.
Okay. Okay.
How's it going? I'm Julian Klenda. This is my son, Anthony Klenda. I'm the owner of Maine Lobster now. I grew up in the lobster industry and worked with my father for almost 15 years. My father's company, Klenda Seafood, distributes lobster products to different restaurants and stores locally. I have relatives scattered all over the United States, and they always wanted Maine lobster, but couldn't always make the trip to Maine. So when I was in college, I developed my business plan to distribute lobsters nationwide. I developed an easy-to-use website to simplify the ordering process, to help people out and answer common questions. I've also negotiated shipping rates with different carriers so I can offer a reasonable shipping rate to my customers. We work closely with local businesses, including the Lobster Shack at Two Lights, located in Cape Elizabeth, Maine, Black Point Inn, located on Proud's Neck, in Scarborough, Maine, and the Residence Inn Marriott, located in downtown Portland. At Maine Lobster Now, we exert humane delivery practices to ensure comfortable transit for your lobster. My goal is to deliver the healthiest Maine lobster to your door.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our Gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
Have you heard the news? There's more to Prime than free. 2-day shipping on shoes. There are tons of movies ready to stream. It's like living in a film lover's dream. More to Prime. More to Prime.
I want to join. How much should I pay?
You can sign up for the free trial today. So let's say it one more time. There's more to Prime.
What if you could empower your kids with the freedom they want and still have peace of mind that you and your child could stay connected from virtually anywhere? Amber Alert GPS is a new way to connect, protect, and live. The small, lightweight smart locator device for kids gives children the freedom to call their parents through the touch of a button, and parents the peace of mind with features like two-way calling, customizable safety zones, GPS, and other location features that can all be monitored from the parent app on your smartphone. Amber Alert GPS is as easy to set up as it is to use. To get started, charge the device for a minimum of 4 hours near a window. Go to amberalertgps.com/login to register and create your account, and download the Amber Alert GPS parent app on your smartphone and log in. Preset one primary number on the device that your child can call. The device will only accept a call from the primary number, and add up to 10 users who can locate the device and receive alerts. You determine their permissions. You can change settings on the Amber Alert GPS web portal, including features like School Ready Mode, which blocks incoming calls during school hours. When your child wants to call, they simply press and hold the SOS button on the device. This calls the primary contact and sends out an email alert to the authorized users listed on your account. You can monitor the location of your child on your smartphone app. and set up to 20 safety zones which create a virtual boundary around your designated location. You'll get a notification when your child enters and/or exits a zone. Want to monitor your child when traveling in a vehicle? You have the option to set a maximum speed for the device, so each time it goes over the designated speed, you will receive an alert. On the run and don't have time to log in and check out your kid's location? With breadcrumbing, your child's whereabouts can be sent to you at regular intervals. Amber Alert GPS also has a listening feature that lets kids have the freedom to be kids and gives parents the reassurance that everything is going okay. And with optional snap-on faceplates, kids can make their Amber Alert GPS truly their own. Faceplates come with a lanyard so it can be comfortably worn around their neck. You can easily secure the device using an arm or ankle band or the protective pouch that can snap onto a backpack or belt. Amber Alert GPS Smart Locator is a new way to connect, protect, and live, enabling parents and caregivers to stay connected through GPS location awareness and two-way calling. While the Amber Alert GPS device requires AT&T service and monthly fee, the Amber Alert GPS parent app can be downloaded and used with any mobile carrier.
For the professional.
Yeah, I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh yeah, say I got a woman way over town, good to me. Oh yeah, she give me money when I'm in need. Yeah, she's a kind of friend indeed. I got a woman way over town that's good to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital.
Early in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Just for me.
I've gotten in a lot of trouble talking about women.
She says loving early in the morning, just for me.
Come join me in the Euro Pacific Bank Limited TECS chat room at Broadcast Central.
Just for me.
TheExceptionalConservativeshow.com. Yes.
I got a woman.
Yeah.
Way over town.
That's good to me. Oh yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in the non-commercial section of the Exceptional Conservative Show. No more commercials tonight. And you're listening to none other than Ray Charles. I got a woman.
She's there to love me both day and night. Never grumbles or fusses, always treats me right. Never running in the streets and leaving me alone. She knows a woman's place is right there now in her home. I got a woman.
Oh God! Oh
yeah.
Even Sam, even Ray Charles gets me into trouble that a woman's place is in that home. Oh yeah, she's good to me. Oh boy. Ah. Oh, what a week. It's only been 2 days, boy. I've been apologizing left and right. I am planting the seeds of freedom. The essence of true capitalism. That's our goal and agenda this particular evening. And I want you all to understand that there are those who have had your children's ear and have had your ear and our parents' ear for over a century. And their objective has been to destroy the foundation of our nation. I believe that there are basically four corners to the foundation of this nation. Christianity, Christ being the headstone. Capitalism, conservatism, and constitutionalism. And while many people thought that the election last November was about saving the house. And there have been those who have attempted to save the house of the Republican Party. It goes much deeper than that. Why are people in Miami celebrating the death of Castro? Because Castro fundamentally destroyed all of the ingredients necessary for there to be a free people. Now, you can get used to being a slave of the state and then promote that to your children and your grandchildren and say that this is the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be a slave to the state. You're whatever Castro says you're supposed to do, because Castro's God, because Putin is God, because folk is God. But the truth of the matter is, you have now allowed your children to profess idolatry or idolatry. Forgive me, I apologize. Which tears down the very fabric of what free people are. I really believe that your school, and I know that it's not your school, it's everyone else's school, but I really believe your school needs to take a look at itself. Is it doing hurt, harm, and danger to any one of the 4 pillars of the foundation of our society, of our culture, of our nation? Is your school, first and foremost, tearing down Christ? Is there a Bible in your library? Or have you been told that the Bible is such a reactionary document filled with lies and fairy tales that it can't possibly be on the shelves of your school's library? And that there has to be a separation of church and state, even though you can put the Quran in there. Is your school tearing down the ideals of conservatism? That uniquely, change takes time and should be deliberated upon, not forced upon you. Certainly not by a federal state. But your community, your locality is the entity that makes that change. And when there is a vote, that change is not squashed by a court. Is your school tearing down the fibers of constitutionalism? Do they say that there should be free speech, but your speech can't be heard? Do they tell you to turn your t-shirt over, not because it has Jay-Z and a bunch of hoochies bobbing their butts up and down on it, but because it has a picture of someone holding a rifle proclaiming the Second Amendment? Is the picture of the Second Amendment so deadly, yet the scholarship offering to a Somali terrorist not? And then lastly, capitalism, which is a seed in which we're going to talk about tonight. In the sense of capitalism, have you been told that capitalism is based on alone class division, and then coupled with greedy, unrestrained profit motive, and that there's no such thing as a free market, that every market depends on government? If you have been told those particular 3 things, either isolated or coupled, then you don't understand completely what capitalism is all about. Capitalism is more than Joe Blow opening up a restaurant and then trying to force the city to make sure that no other restaurant gets opened. See, that's not capitalism. That's crony capitalism. But actually, crony capitalism is nothing better than socialism with a little umbrella in it. Your founding fathers understood that free people need free markets, that ideas themselves are the tools by which we are able to change the world. You know, that's why they come up with this theme about marketplace of ideas, because, yeah, the marketplace is where you're supposed to be to change the world. Now, I want you all to understand something. I got into the chat roll today of Line Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. It's on between 11 and 1 o'clock. But I got in there and I was guest 901. Yeah, sometimes I do that. And a lot of people may have thought I was a troll, but I wasn't. I went in there to ask questions. You see, in a socialist society, questions are not asked, directions are given. In a capitalist society, the expectation is that you are to ask questions. Aristotelian thinking. Ask questions so that you can get to the soundness of the issue in which you are dealing with. There was a young woman, I believe in New York, and if not, I'll be corrected accordingly. But she entered into a relationship outside of the binds of wedlock and is now pregnant with twins. Now, that's neither a here nor there point for many people. I mean, lots of women have children out of wedlock. I mean, it's the American way. Well, at least over the past 40 years, it's become the American way, and that goes to the 100-year quest of the communists to destroy the fashions and the culture that exists in America. But simply put, if she were merely an ordinary woman, and forgive the term ordinary, but without the immense pleasure of being lifted as a minister or reverend, then this would be no more than a cultural conundrum. Something that we could talk about and then go on to the next subject. You see, the sin is not the child or the children to be born. And unfortunately, many of us phrase that as the reason why we should be concerned. The reason that we should be concerned in that particular moment is that a standard has been broken, crushed, like the temple. Now, it's no problem for a woman, whether pregnant or not, to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Not at all. But when the standard is that you are to exude the highest moral order possible in order to fashion or meet the requirements of office, then certainly either taking a blowjob under the desk in the Oval Office or being a pregnant pastor out of wedlock before a congregation, especially in neighborhoods where abortion numbers for blacks is 50%, and out of wedlock births over 70% black, you send a message that what you preach has no volition, that the office that you hold is dishonorable, and the requirements of it anti-cultural. So instead of Christ leading the church, it is the culture or the antithesis leading the church. So be it. With capitalism, we have heard from others, and I'll be talking about this probably on Thursday night for New Day Black and Red. We have heard from others that somehow capitalism is immoral, that it's impractical. that it warrants concern. And I tell you that it doesn't. Capitalism is moral and practical, as it leaves the individual free to think rationally and act productively to sustain one's life and experience happiness on earth. As there appears to be a free market environment in our churches that have become bastions of socialistic and state-governed thought, why not you offer the reason as to why that particular entity is not the place by which the state can tell you, or the culture can tell you, that the standards are too high, they need to be lowered. So why should we allow our school systems to do the very same thing to the four pillars of our society? That those standards are too high, that it is far better for little Johnny, who has 90% in the classroom for math, to be told by his groupthink people that you are acting white, and thus you are not one of us. And it is far better to be one of us, even though our grading system is mediocre. You see, little Larry over there, he got 50%, but he passed. You got 90%, you excelled, you are a threat to Larry. So Larry doesn't have to go, you have to go, or you have to change your mindset. The same way with capitalism. You see, our founding fathers understood, in finality, I say to you, that meritocracy is the way in which not only God governed his kingdom, but we should govern our nation. No one gets a job because they happen to be the right color, the right sex, the right religion. They get a job because they're the right person. Or at least it should be that way. They start their company because they have the right idea. They succeed because they have the right ambitions and the right tools. So I speak to you tonight. Is your school tearing down one of the four pillars, or collectively all of the pillars? If so, then I must tell you that your job is not necessarily to vote for Donald Trump and be all satisfied that he's going to take care of everything. Your job is to help your child escape that school so that they may be able to profit in a capitalistic nation. We can return to the pillars. That means that we have to teach Larry that he has to raise his standards to be acceptable in this new nation. If you don't remember anything I said tonight, I hope that you remember this. God blessed America. Now it's time for America to bless God. We'll see you tomorrow night. Dr. Brooks Robinson will be with us. Also, Lonnie Poindexter will be with us. The Kraken himself, Ralph Chitums, and Shannon Wright will drop the mic. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow night, 9:05 p.m. Eastern Time on The Exceptional Conservative Show at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Good to me. Oh, yeah. Say, I got a woman way over town. Good to me. Oh, yeah. She give me money when I'm in need. Yeah, she's a kind of friend indeed. I got a woman way over town. That's good to me. Oh, yeah. She says loving early in the morning just for me. tenderly. I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh yeah,